big hello and welcome from the Year 3-4 team. It's Miss Kerrison here, and today I'm going to be going through some of the different things in your pattern. Okay, so I'm going to be covering 4 main things today. The first one is going to be a persuasive writing for Mr. Bot's shoe shop. Number 2 is Miss Simmons has got a little clip to introduce a science competition for you this week. The third one is I'm going to read the rest of our story, The Day I Met a Whale by Michael Mulpergo. And number 4, I'm going to do some shout outs to all of you for your amazing and incredible work you've been sending in. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the writing task for this week, which was writing to persuade. What you're going to do is, by the end of this, is create a poster to persuade people to buy Mr. Bot's shoes. So what I need you to do first of all is watch the link on the screen, because otherwise you're not going to know what Mr. Bot's shoes look like. So what does writing to persuade really mean? Well, what it means is you're trying to convince the reader of something. Now that could be anything at all. It could be that your trainers that you're wearing are the best trainers that you've ever worn, or that the apple that you're eating is the most delicious apple you've ever eaten. Well, either way, what you're talking about, you're persuading that person that it is the best thing that they could ever do. So there are 4 main features of persuasive writing, and the first one I'm going to look at now is expanded noun phrases, and these include a range of adjectives that describe a noun. Okay, so first of all, for an expanded noun phrase, this includes adjectives, and whatever you're persuading your reader about, you need to make it seem like they're the best idea ever. So by doing this, we need to use really powerful adjectives. So the first one I thought about was amazing. They could be magical or wonderful, fantastic. Okay, so what I've done now is written just some of the adjectives I could use to describe those shoes. What I want you to do now is pause the video, go and have a go at writing your own adjectives down, and I'll go and add some more to mine, and then we'll come back together in a minute. I'm back, and I quite enjoyed thinking about all the different adjectives I could use to describe the shoes. I hope you got lots of different adjectives too. I'll just quickly show you a picture of some of the adjectives that I got. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do is turn this very, very simple sentence into an expanded noun phrase. Now we need to choose some of our adjectives here to describe the noun, which is the shoes. So Mr. Bot's, and then I'm going to choose the adjectives splendid, magical, and amazing. I'm going to go back. Shoes. Now I have missed my comma here because I need to use a comma to split up my 2 adjectives. So we've now got Mr. Bot's splendid, magical and amazing shoes. Now that sounds so much better and a lot more appealing. So another feature of persuasive writing is rhetorical questions. Now rhetorical questions are questions which don't actually need to be answered. They help the reader to feel like you are talking specifically to them. So for example, we could have, how could you live without them? Now remember, it's a rhetorical question, so it needs a question mark on the end. Now, how could you live without them? Imagine reading that, it would really make you want to buy them because you can't imagine living without them. So another rhetorical question we could use to catch the reader's attention is, what is better than a new pair of shoes? And again, don't forget that question mark at the end because it is a question. The third feature of persuasive writing is imperative verbs. Now imperative verbs tell the reader what to do. They help to get your message across really clearly. So for example, buy these shoes now. Or imagine having a pair of these shoes. The final feature for our persuasive writing is repetition. At the end of your persuasive text, the reader needs to be really clear about the main point. So ensure this by occasionally repeating keywords throughout your writing, such as Mr. Bot's shoes, because everyone needs to know where the shoes are coming from. Wow, look at my... Oops, haven't done it yet. So what I'm going to do is, using those false features and keeping them in mind, I'm going to now go and create this amazing poster and turn this blank piece of paper into a wonderful poster based on Mr. Bot's shoe shop. Okay, so that's it. This is my poster that I've created based on Mr. Bot's shoe shop, and I'll just show you a photo now and go through different sections of it for you. So first of all, I started off with a really catchy title because that's the first thing that was going to catch the reader's attention. So one of a kind shoes. As you can see, I've used two different rhetorical questions. What are you waiting for? And how could you live without these shoes? Both of these rhetorical questions I've used to try and catch the reader's attention and to make them think about whether they could live without the shoes. I've also decided to add an illustration showing the shoes that Mr. Bot is selling, as these are designed to catch the reader's attention so they know exactly what I'm talking about. Here I've used an expanded noun phrase, the magical, amazing and never seen before Mr. Bot's shoes. Here I've used the imperative verb buy now or miss out because I really want to catch the reader's attention and tell them what I need them to do.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. I just thought I'd give you a quick update on a science competition that you can enter from home. So all you need to do is design a hat of your choice related to science. So it could be about friction, it could be about space, rocks and soils, animals including humans, anything that you like, and then make a hat based on that topic and then send your picture in to the email that's going to be on the screen somewhere, and then you can also hashtag it as well. I'm going to insert a clip of all the information that you need. And if you win the competition, you can get 5 science kits sent to your house. So they're not for school, they're just for you to use as and when you please. So let us also know what your hats look like by sending them to your class teacher. And I wish you all the best of luck. Stay safe, everyone.
So now I'm going to carry on reading the story that we've been reading over the last couple of weeks, The Day I Met a Whale by Michael Mabogo. Enjoy. So last time when Mrs. Daly was reading the book, the head teacher had just come into the children to tell them that there was a whale in the river and that they needed to go and see it immediately. But we can see it's for real, so I thought we'd all go and take a look. Quick as you can, please, else he could be gone before we get there, and we don't want that, do we? And then he was gone. Everyone was gaping at Michael for some time after Mr. Jenner had left. No one said a word, not even Mrs. Ferguson. But in spite of the look of utter amazement on Jamie Bolshaw's face, Michael could not for one moment enjoy his triumph. All he could think of was that his whale hadn't made it to the sea, that he must still be floundering in the river, still there, and trapped. He knew only too well what that might mean. He had to be there, now. He was out of the classroom, across the playground already full of excited children being herded into lines, and on his way down to the river before anyone could stop him. By the time Michael arrived, there were crowds. Everywhere, hundreds of them lining the river on both sides, and all along Battersea Bridge too. He pushed through the crowds and hoisted himself up onto the wall so he could see over. There were police down on the shoreline, keeping everyone back behind the wall. From the first moment he saw the whale, Michael could see that he was in serious trouble. He was wallowing helpless in the shallows, at the mercy of the tide, unwilling or unable to move. Standing next to Michael was a building worker, in a yellow hard hat and muddy boots. He was screaming down his mobile phone, "It's huge! Humongous, I'm telling you! Looks more like a bleeding shark to me. And he's going to get himself well and truly stuck in the mud if he's not careful. And that'll be his lot. Yeah,
just below Battersea Bridge. I've got my yellow hat on and you can't miss me. I'll look out for you." "No, he'll still be here. He's not going anywhere, poor blighter. And don't forget to bring the camcorder. Right? This won't happen again. Once in a lifetime, this." There were half a dozen people around the whale, a couple of divers amongst them, trying to encourage him back into the water. But Michael could see it was no use. Without him, the whale seemed to have lost all will to live. He was trying to decide what he could do, how he could get the whale without being stopped by the police, when he found Mr. Jenner beside him and Mrs. Ferguson too, both breathless. "You shouldn't have gone running off like that, Michael," said Mrs. Ferguson. "You had us worried sick." "He needs me," Michael told her. "I've got to go to him." "You leave it to the experts," said Mr. Jenner. "Come on over here with the other children now. We've got a great view where we are." "I don't want a great view," Michael shouted. "Don't you understand? I have to save him." Michael didn't think twice after that. He climbed over the wall and raced along the shore towards the whale, dodging the police as he went. When Mr. Jenner tried to call him back, Mrs. Ferguson put her hand on his arm. "Best leave him be," she told him. "It's his whale. I'll go after him." By the time the police managed to catch up with Michael, Mrs. Ferguson was there to explain everything. They took some persuading, but in the end they said that they could make an exception just this once, provided she stayed with him all the time, and provided both of them wore life jackets and didn't interfere. So, along with several others, Michael and Mrs. Ferguson were there when the tide began to rise, and at last the whale began to float free from the mud. Michael stayed as close to his head as he could get, and talked to him all the while to reassure him. "You'll be all right now," he said. "There's lots of us here, and we all want to help you. You'll swim out of here, just like your grandfather did. All you have to do is swim. You must swim. You've got your whole family waiting for you out there. Do it for them. Do it for me."
So you've just seen all the incredible pieces of work you've been doing and getting up to over the last few weeks, and I'd just like to say a massive well done and thank you for all your hard work that you are doing. To every single person in year 3 and 4, you are battling forward, you're creating amazing work that is just putting a massive smile on your teachers' faces, and we are just really proud of you, so well done. So keep up the hard work at home, and I will hopefully will see you soon. Bye!